Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles, a consulting hypnotist and a life coach. And most Saturdays, 2:30 Central Time, I come here to do a 5 or 10 minute live video on some aspect of the hypnotic arts and sciences or life coaching. Today I want to talk about a man, a French pharmacist and psychologist and hypnotist who practiced at the end of the 19th century, Emile Coue. And I credit this person as being the first true professional hypnotist. There were other hypnotists at the time, Charcot, Lebeau, Bernheim, but they thought of themselves as physicians who used hypnotism. They didn't think of themselves as primarily a hypnotist, as a separate and distinct tradition. As far as I can determine, Coue is the very first person who did that. Well, his degree was in pharmacology and he was a pharmacist, but he noticed that if he gave his patients the drug, but also gave them an affirmation, a positive affirmation that they could say about getting better for whatever the drug was for, they would do much better than just giving them the medication alone. So he began to develop a system of mantra-like affirmations that he would give to his patients with their drug, and found that he was getting better results than any other pharmacist in the city. He eventually formalized these affirmations into one general purpose affirmation: every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Some of you may have heard that before. It's common in some of the positive thinking movements, but Coue is the author. And he argued that you should say this affirmation at the beginning and at the end of the day about 20 times, preferably out loud. Now, most hypnotists who know of Coue know him through his little book, My Method. But actually, the best way to study his thought is the book Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion, which is often bound in with thoughts and precepts, observations on what autosuggestion can do, which is case histories, and education as it ought to be. Coue argued that there were two minds in your cranium. First, the conscious mind, and second, the unconscious mind. And the latter was vastly powerful. As proof of the existence of this unconscious mind, he used the example of a person who sleepwalks, who gets out of bed, gets dressed, does something in the morning, has no memory of it at all because they were doing it unconsciously. But Coue believed that the unconscious mind is credulous and accepts with unreasoning docility, his words, what it is told. And therefore, unconscious autosuggestion is dangerous. We go through our lives internalizing beliefs about the world, about ourselves, about other people, unconsciously. Sometimes people convince us through advertising to acquire these beliefs. Sometimes we pick them up from our environment, but we're not aware that we're picking them up. But they're powerful, and they affect our behavior, our thoughts, and our feelings. So to overcome unconscious autosuggestion, which is dangerous, Coue recommended that we all learn to practice conscious autosuggestion. Now, he had some interesting ideas. When will and imagination conflict, imagination always wins. That's one of his primary principles. For example, try not to imagine a polar bear in your bedroom. Well, no matter how hard you try willfully not to imagine that, just the words cause your imagination to create the image. The imagination is much more powerful than the will. An example that Coue gives is if you put a plank down on the ground, you can easily will yourself to walk along it with no problem. But suspend that same plank from the height of a cathedral, and you'll never be able to walk across it without perhaps training as a tightrope walker, because what will happen is your imagination will imagine you falling and will cause you to fall. Coue argued that all suggestion is really autosuggestion. That is, when we internalize a suggestion, it becomes an autosuggestion. And he saw autosuggestion and hypnosis as synonyms. Autosuggestion is nothing but hypnotism as I see it, and I would define it in these simple words: the influence of the imagination upon the moral and physical being of mankind. He saw himself as being protective of kind of the collective community mind by teaching people good mental hygiene. Conscious autosuggestion, he said, made with confidence, with faith, with perseverance, realizes itself mathematically within reason. So in a way, he kind of anticipated, say, Rhonda Byrne's The Secret Law of Attraction sort of thing, except he didn't quite take it that far. He thought that conscious autosuggestion could obtain miraculous results for a person, but they had to be reasonable. So you might cure your asthma, but you're not going to grow your leg back if it's been amputated. The other thing he believed is that while autosuggestion could cure disease, he didn't say it had to or that it always would, just that it was possible that autosuggestion could play a formative role in getting well again. Now, he did some silly things. He actually said, if will and imagination conflict, the force of the imagination is the square of the will. That's more than twice as much. And when the will and imagination are in agreement, they multiply each other. Now, I'm not quite sure how those numbers work out, but that's what he believed. But he always argued that you can direct your imagination, and the way he did it was to use what consulting hypnotists call convincers. We have a client do something which shows the client that they are in a hypnotic state and something that they wouldn't do when they're out of that state. For example, I often, in my practice, hypnotize a client to not smell ammonia. And when they're out of the trance, they smell it, and it's quite a upsetting thing. But that convinces them that something was really going on in the trance. Once you've done that, once you've used the convincer, the imagination can be directed. So give it a try. Every day in every way, I am getting better and better, 20 times, morning and evening. What you'll find, and I do this myself, what you will find is that it has a positive effect on all of your beliefs. You find yourself just being a more positive person because you say that. And that simple suggestion actually has all the characteristics of a well-formed hypnotic suggestion. Specifically, it's simple, it's positive, it's in the present tense, it's believable, it's measurable, and it carries its own reward because it's fun to say. So I teach all of my clients autosuggestion. If you were to become a client of my practice, we would, of course, do formal hypnosis on an Ericksonian model about your presenting issues and your goals list. But I would also teach you the eye roll, because I do the Spigelian system of hypnosis. I would teach you how to use that to calm yourself. I would teach you the basic heart math techniques of the Heart Math Institute for emotional self-regulation, and I would teach you the principles of autosuggestion. And that simple suggestion, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better, can be easily tailored for other things. I'm getting stronger and stronger. I'm getting healthier and healthier. I'm getting smarter and smarter. I'm getting better and better at my golf swing. It'd be easy to do. And when the consultation with me is over, my clients are able to do this then for themselves. One technique he did use, which until I reread the book on conscious autosuggestion preparatory to making this video, I had forgotten this. When Coue would teach the mantra, this optimistic mantra, to his patients and have them say it, he would preface it by saying, "In your imagination, transport yourself into my presence," and then say, "Every day and every way, I'm getting better and better." And so I discovered that this is actually a helper. It is more effective to tell the client, when you do this affirmation, don't just do it, but put yourself in your imagination in the presence of your hypnotist. This help builds the professional rapport and adds power to the situation. Thank you for your attention. I will not be here next Saturday because I will be at the National Convention of the National Guild of Hypnotists in Marlborough, Massachusetts, where I'm teaching in the pre-convention a day-long course on hypnotic oncology. I'll be teaching in my role as the Legislation and Governmental Concerns Officer for the Guild, a 2-hour free seminar on contemporary legislation, ethics, and governmental issues affecting our profession. And I'll be doing 2 practical workshops on the eye roll itself and also the nuts and bolts of running a medical hypnosis practice. If you're going to be at the convention, hey, stop by, say hi. I'll be back the following week, and I will then be talking about manifesting, how to actually make what you want to happen, happen. And I sometimes jokingly call this conjuring. So that will be my topic for a talk 2 weeks hence. As always, if I can be of help to you in my role as a life coach and as a consulting hypnotist, please feel free to reach out through my website, email, phone, whatever. When I edit this, I'll put the slide at the end, which gives you my website address. Thank you and have a great day.